I've always been a big fan of styles clashes in wrestling. Don't get me wrong, seeing two great mat technicians going hold for hold is awesome, as is watching two brawlers slugging it out, or two powerhouses shaking the ring as they collide. But there's something about watching two wrestlers that have completely different styles that I invariably find compelling. If you're a hardcore wrestling fan, it gets to a point where if you see a match advertised, you generally have a pretty good idea of what to expect, and a bit of the excitement and the mystery is lost. But when you have two people that wrestle completely differently, you have no idea what to expect. Will the match resemble one style more than the other? Would one wrestler be able to adapt to their opponent's style? Or would it end up looking like something completely different? That uncertainty is incredibly refreshing, and why I get so excited when those sorts of matches are announced. In the mid-1990s, a trilogy of matches took place between two of the top stars in all of professional wrestling, whose styles couldn't be more different. 3 times in 3 consecutive years, the greatest super heavyweight of all time met one of the flag bearers of early shoot-style wrestling to determine who the real pro wrestling heavyweight champion was, in arguably the defining series of the UWFi. Super Vader versus Nobuhiko Takada. Monster versus Man. To understand these matches, and exactly what makes them so special, I think you need to know a little bit about the history of the UK, and of shoot-style wrestling in Japan. I'll give you a very brief summary of the basics here, but if you'd like some more info, I'd highly recommend you check out the Hybrid Shoot Substack. Jonathan Snowden covers shoot-style wrestling and its history in much more detail there than I can here. Wrestling Colin has also made a great video on the formation of the original UWF. I'll leave links to both in the description. The original UWF was founded in 1984 by wrestlers departing from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Initially a fairly standard Puro promotion, the influence of wrestlers with combat sports backgrounds, names like Akira Maeda, Satoru Sayama, Nobuhiko Takada, Yoshiaki Fujiwara, and Kazuo Yamazaki pushed the promotion towards a more realistic martial arts based style. This new style combined wrestling techniques they'd been introduced to in the New Japan dojo by renowned catch wrestler and trainer Carl Gotch, with kickboxing, karate striking and submission grappling, forming the foundation of modern mixed martial arts in Japan. These early UWF matches are considered by many, myself included, to mark the birth of shoot-style wrestling. Tensions between Sayama and other roster members would pull the promotion apart, coming to a head a year and a half after the promotion was founded, with Sayama and Maeda shooting on each other in a September match, Maeda kicking Sayama hard in the groin, getting disqualified and then fired from the UWF. The entire promotion would fold that same month. Much of the roster will return to New Japan as part of the UWF Invasion angle, led by Maeda and Takada. They would remain there for a couple years before departing once more to found the second incarnation of the UWF, colloquially termed the Newborn UWF. The promotion would fold at the end of 1990. In the aftermath, 3 successive promotions would be founded: Akira Maeda's Rings, Yoshiaki Fujiwara's Pro Wrestling Fujiwara Gumi, and Nobuhiko Takada's UWF International, the first 3 UK promotions, the offshoots of the reborn UWF. UWFi would run its first shows in 1991, with Takada as the promotion's top star, and when the promotion introduced its top title in 1992, the Real Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship, Takada was the first champion, defeating UWFi mainstay Gary Albright to claim the prize, one of UWFi Commissioner Lou Thesz's old NWA Championship belts. Takada and Thez would disparage other Japanese promotions as being fake, with Takada challenging the champions of these promotions, including Mitsuharu Misawa, Keiji Muto and Masahiro Chono, to face the self-proclaimed real world champion, though none would accept. In 1993 though, this challenge would be accepted, but not by one of Takada's countrymen, but by the reigning WCW world champion, Vader. Vader was well known to Japanese fans due to his time spent in New Japan, and to Takada too. The upcoming clash between the two would not be their first match against each other, the pair having been on opposing teams in a tag team match in New Japan back in 1988, with Vader teaming with Masa Saito against Takada and Antonio Inoki. Due to the promotion where their first encounter took place, and the fact that in spite of it being fair use, I don't really want to have my channel copyright nuked right now, I won't be covering that match in this episode. If you'd like to see my review of that match, the extended uncensored cut of this episode is available on Patreon right now. There's plenty of bonus content there right now, the sort of things the character limit on Twitter prevents me from writing. If you'd like to help support the channel and get even more good stuff in the process, join as a paid member. There are links below. Vader would make his UWFi debut in May of 1993, wrestling as Super Vader, owing to legal issues regarding the Big Van Vader name, earning a dominant KO victory over the promotion's resident uber-tough underdog Tatsuya Nakano, before earning 2 more quick victories over Kazuo Yamazaki and Naoki Sano, staking his claim to Takada's Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight title. 5 years after their first meeting, Takada and Vader would collide in their first singles match in front of 45,000 fans in Meiji Jingu Stadium. The pageantry and ceremony that precedes this match really cannot be overstated. Between the backstage shots of the two men preparing for the fight, the presence of Commissioner Luthez, their entrances, the national anthems, it all creates anticipation for this fight and brings with it an air of credibility and legitimacy that few wrestling events have been able to replicate. 2 months after his last victory, knocking out Sano with a hellacious powerbomb, Vader emerges, looking incredibly determined and confident, unsurprising given the dominance of his previous appearances in the promotion. Takada gets a great ovation as he enters, staring down Vader when he makes it to the ring, appearing to be utterly unfazed by him. Another legendary shooter, UWFi trainer Billy Robinson, enters before the national anthems begin, and after a brief proclamation from Thez, Vader removes his mask, shakes hands with Takada in a move that seems to both surprise and impress the crowd, and the match is underway. The two circle each other, neither wanting to be the one to make the first move, knowing that a single mistake could end the fight before it begins. It's all fakes and feints and flinches at the beginning, each man's reaction time being tested, until Takada lands the first clean strike, a single leg kick that goes unacknowledged by Vader. He immediately corners Takada, connecting with a flurry of open-handed strikes that send him careening across the ring. They lock up, Vader having the obvious size and power advantage, forcing Takada to the corner yet again, and landing a handful more strikes before Takada escapes. They re-engage, Vader taking down Takada and ending up in full guard, controlling him with his weight and connecting with a series of short palm strikes to his head, before Takada makes the ropes. It takes a 7 count to make it back to his feet. Vader immediately begins applying the pressure once more. The ugly clubbing rights and lefts overwhelm Takada, allowing Vader to take his back. Takada blocks the German suplex attempt, but Vader settles for a rear naked choke, the body scissors trapping the champion in the middle of the ring. He struggles in the hold, but Vader's lack of technique shows as Takada slips out and manages to reach the ropes once again. The bout has been all Vader so far, but when he attempts to corner Takada once more, Takada fights back with a series of kicks that actually stun Vader, him reacting in pain for the first time in the match. Vader closes Takada down with more clubbing blows though, and once he has a hold of the champion, it's not long before Takada is back on the mat. It takes him a 9 count this time, but he makes his way back to his feet regardless. Even though the latest flurry really stunned him, he seems to have a bit more confidence in his movements now, likely because he may have found a chink in Vader's seemingly impenetrable armour. He keeps his distance, running round Vader, trying to use his superior cardio to his advantage and tire the powerhouse out. He connects with some more kicks that cause Vader to recoil in pain, but he's trapped in the corner yet again, short palm strikes preceding Vader forcing Takada to the mat once more. The champion's superior grappling technique pays off, as he gets a hold of Vader's leg and uses his leverage to achieve side control. The crowd begins to roar as he attempts the armbar, Vader using the S-grip to prevent his arm from being fully extended, and despite Takada attempting to break his grip, Vader is able to reach the ropes. When they return to their feet, there's a sense of urgency in Takada we haven't quite seen yet. He blasts Vader with kicks, and now it's Super Vader who's cornered, trying to survive the onslaught. He catches a kick and puts Takada on the mat, and Vader assumes side control, transitioning to a side headlock and positioning Takada away from the ropes, returning to the short palm strikes we saw earlier until Takada manages to find the rope. Vader applies the pressure, trying to close the gap and get a hold of Takada, but it backfires. Takada landing some nasty knees to the body to create distance, before returning to the leg kicks, felling Vader for a 9 count as the fans count along. More leg kicks follow, and Vader just doesn't have an answer for them, once again returning to his feet at 9. Drastic measures are needed for the challenger, and drastic measures are taken. He charges and tackles Takada, assuming full mount and blasting him with more palm strikes. Takada fights to the ropes, going so far as to leave the ring to escape the onslaught. He's met outside by the referee, who encourages him back into the ring before stepping in front of Vader as he attempts to re-engage, earning a slap for his efforts. Vader closes the gap, hoisting up Takada and forcing him down hard with a power slam. It's hard to make such a pro wrestling move fit in a match like this, but Takada and Vader make it work. Takada selling the wind, having been knocked out of him well, and barely making it to his feet in time to break the count. Vader immediately gets a hold of him again, delivering another impactful slam, though it's still not enough to keep the champion down. Vader closes the distance once more, though this time not with a vulgar display of power as before, but with a Fujiwara armbar. Takada does his best to resist, Vader transitioning to the full Nelson, but Takada reaches the bottom rope yet again. Takada and Vader grapple on the feet once more, some short snappy elbows from Vader proving effective, as do Takada's leg kicks. Vader appears to be looking for a powerbomb, but Takada counters, throwing Vader to the mat, though he makes it to the ropes before Takada is really able to punish him. A single leg trip gets the challenger down again, allowing Takada to take his back before firing off some more kicks. He seizes the opportunity, grabbing Vader's right arm and locking in the armbar in the centre of the ring. Vader refuses to quit, and Takada responds by wrenching the arm back, forcing Vader to submit and allowing the UWFi ace to emerge victorious. The crowd erupts, Takada happily receiving the adulation of the fans after such a hard-fought victory. I've never been a huge fan of Takada compared to his peers like Maeda and Fujiwara, but you get a glimpse of the endearing side that made him a really solid ace for UWFi, even if he may not have been as well-rounded or interesting a wrestler as his aforementioned contemporaries. What I find most impressive though, and what I believe makes this match a must-watch, is Vader's selling here. While Takada is going from corner to corner celebrating, Vader is on the mat, being checked on by officials and ring attendants, interrupting Takada's moment with agonising shouts. The work he does here to put over the armbar goes far beyond the call of duty, to the point that it's almost disturbing. To hear a man as tough as Vader in agony, he screams a mix of pain, anger and fear. It's legitimately unsettling at times. He doesn't go overboard in the slightest. You can still hear him as Thez is giving out the results surrounded by officials, and while Takada is receiving his belt and trophies, all the post-match pageantry being punctuated by the pained screams of Super Vader. It takes half a dozen people to help Vader out of the ring and to the back, and the entire time he's selling as if his arm is legitimately broken. While Vader didn't have as much credibility as a shooter as those he'd faced in the UWFi so far, he does a hell of a job portraying a serious injury here, really putting over Takada as a giant killer. The overall presentation, everything that takes place before and after the match adds so much to it. The best way to ensure that the fans care is by ensuring that everyone in and around the ring cares first. By having dozens of people there, including names known to and respected by the fans, and showing that they're invested in everything. The announcing, the anthems, all the pre and post match ceremony, it creates a sense of importance and stature that is just priceless. This match feels like a big deal, because everything surrounding it tells you it is. As I mentioned earlier, Takada is probably the least technically gifted of his cohort of early shoot style guys. He can't compare to Fujiwara on the mat, or Maeda or Sayama on the feet. Where I think he really shines though, is as a heroic ace figure. Not on the level of Inoki, but much in the same vein as him. In a match like this, across the ring from a bigger, stronger foe I think is where he's most effective, in the same way Inoki took on any and all foreign invaders. Takada and Vader is an obvious mirror of Inoki and Vader. Takada's resilience in the face of the overwhelming force of Vader is really effective, desperately searching for a solution to his opponent, probing for weaknesses fruitlessly to begin with, unable to punish Vader's lack of expertise. He uses his cardio and leg kicks to begin to break down the challenger, turning the tide in his favour, but occasionally overextending himself and being mauled. Vader incorporates more traditional pro wrestling in a pretty convincing way in this. He was never going to look like a seasoned martial artist in this match, because that's not what he is, or he should ever be portrayed as. He's a big tough guy with a football background, who knows how to use his power and explosiveness to his full advantage. His grappling and striking technique is far from the best, and why should it be? He's never needed those skills before. His size and power more than making up for it. There's little need for a perfect hammerlock, when you can just throw the guy around whenever you feel like it. His striking is frenzied and ugly and inaccurate, but it works because he's Vader. The extent of his mat work is his short strikes and weight shifts, but it works because he's Vader. I did a free blog post on the Patreon a while back, talking about Glenn Jacobs' brief run in pro wrestling Fujiwara Gumi, and I think Vader works well here for the same reason Jacobs did. A well-trained seasoned striker or grappler in my mind is that they're most interesting when fighting someone who's their polar opposite. In this case, a massive and sloppy powerhouse who can get by on his sheer size and strength. It's a good thing that a lot of Vader's efforts aren't the cleanest or most accurate, as it poses the question as to what will win out, technique or size, David or Goliath. That's what makes this match interesting to me, and why I think it works so well. Overall, I think it's a strong match, albeit one that seemed to leave a lot on the table. Though luckily for us, this would only be the first singles match between the two. In April of 1994, UWFi's Best of the World tournament would begin, featuring representatives from the US, Japan, and the former USSR. Takada would defeat Kazuo Yamazaki, Gene Vick, and Gary Albright to make it to the finals. Meanwhile, Super Vader would also earn 3 victories over the next 3 events, defeating Salman Hashimukov, Masahito Kakihara, and Kiyoshi Tamura in a fantastic semi-final match to win another shot at the champion, with the finals of the tournament set to take place in Nippon Budokan. There's not quite as much pageantry before this match as there was in the previous, but it's still presented really well. Fez and a handful more officials in the ring give it some real credibility as before, and we get a really nice stare down between Takada and Vader. Once again the two show each other respect before the bell, and we're off, Takada moving quickly around the ring. Both try to bait the other as before, each whiffing some big strikes initially. Super Vader manages to back Takada into a corner, and connects with a flurry of huge clubbing shots to the head and midsection that drop the champion, though only briefly. Vader continues the attack when he returns to his feet, connecting with a stiff looking power slam that again forces Takada to struggle to his feet. Vader connects with a second power slam immediately after, and when Takada recovers from that one, he has some more clubbing shots for him, knocking him down yet again. Takada is obviously frustrated by the way the match has begun, and refuses to continue to be demolished. He gets to his feet and fakes being really dazed, going back to his reliable kicks, blasting Vader in the legs, midsection and head, knocking him to the mat before trying for an armbar. Knowing the danger of this move when properly executed, given the damage it did in the previous match, Vader works to prevent Takada from completing the hold and gets to the ropes, but when he stands, Takada is straight on him with more kicks. Takada lands a back suplex, immediately trying for the armbar once again, Vader desperately blocking it. He escapes the hold and gets Takada on his side, the two struggling on the mat, Vader's size seemingly winning out against Takada's superior mat technique. Vader applies a nasty headlock, landing a closed fist shot for good measure, prompting the referee to break the hold and the fans to begin booing the Gaijin behemoth. When Takada recovers, Vader offers a hand by way of apology, which Takada, forever the heroic ace, naturally accepts before the two begin circling each other again. Some more kicks land before Takada and Vader begin to grapple, the champion managing to take down the challenger and transitioning to side control. He connects with some palm strikes before trying for the armbar yet again, Vader working to immediately block it and find the ropes. Takada gets into the zone, a flurry of kicks and knees rocking Vader, until a single shot to the kidney drops him. Vader stays on him with some more rough shots and drags Takada down to the canvas. He uses his weight to keep Takada down and begins working for the armbar. Takada rolls out of it and manages to get on top, trying for the armbar himself. Vader shows no sign of giving up the arm, so Takada relents and goes back to his kicks, bouncing Vader off the ropes with them and some precise jumping knees. Once again though, it's a single ugly looping punch from Vader that drops the champion, but he somehow gets to his feet first, Vader clearly exhausted. The crowd roars with every shot as Takada takes the fight back to him, counting along until Vader gets back to his feet. More leg kicks and some ugly grappling follow, a single short palm strike from a grounded Vader putting Takada down. More strikes, but this time Vader manages to take the back and grind down the champion. More kicks from Takada, but again he gets caught and suplexed across the ring. Again they clash, this time it's a crushing short arm lariat that sends the champion to the mat. He recovers, but gets clocked with a second one straight after. A scissor sweep takes Vader down, but Takada can't get the submission, setting to catch Vader on the chin for a huge shot that gets a 6 count. They trade even more strikes, both men pouring sweat after each exchange, until Vader fights to muscle up Takada for a nasty powerbomb. Takada makes it to his feet somehow, but he's clearly rocked, and in no shape to continue. Vader maintains the pressure with more and more strikes, until a nasty right hand flattens the champion. He fights to get to his feet in time, but just cannot do it, collapsing at the 10 count, and crowning Super Vader the new Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion by knockout. Everything that works about the first match is improved upon in the second, to the point that I believe this is one of the best matches of both their careers. Just as in the first match, Vader has the luxuries of durability and size and strength. While there is one move in particular he has to avoid at all costs, In general, he can afford to make more mistakes, him being able to absorb and continue on through much of Takada's offense. Takada, on the other hand, has to be the super ace, needing to fight smarter and harder than his rival, knowing that any mistake he makes will be punished tenfold at best and would spell the end of the match at worst. We see it play out over and over in the striking exchanges, Takada landing flurries of kicks and knees that seem to stun Vader before a single ugly shot connects that completely turns it around. Vader can afford to make mistakes. He doesn't need to connect perfectly to do severe damage, and can afford to receive many more strikes than his opponent. Takada, on the other hand, he has to play a near perfect game. Every mistake he makes damages him severely. The armbar as a viable weapon against Vader is a really nice wrinkle to this match, one that is so effective solely because of Vader's phenomenal selling at the end of their first encounter. The previous match was in large part based around Takada trying to figure out some strategy that would be effective, leg kicks being the most useful tool we could find, until the armbar was proven as a path to victory. Takada tried the armbar multiple times in the first match before it paid off, but in this one there's a real urgency in his continued attempts, a sense of confidence in his effectiveness that we didn't see in the previous. More so than the first match, Vader presents professional wrestling as a viable fighting style in and of itself, using slams, suplexes and powerbombs effectively, with Takada's selling giving them credibility as core-breaking moves that knock the wind out of and really slow the receiver down. One could make an interesting comparison between Vader here and Antonio Inoki, the latter representing professional wrestling in various bouts against different styles of martial arts, to prove that professional wrestling was number one. Vader does the same here to an extent, traditional American-style pro wrestling ultimately winning out against the proto-mixed martial arts presented by Takada. The way the match builds to its ending with a series of short skirmishes is absolutely perfect for the story it's trying to tell. Takada being knocked down and getting back up over and over again, refusing to surrender but too broken down and exhausted to properly fight back, getting caught with a single shot every time he rises, eventually succumbing and failing to rise in time. Takada is protected in this defeat, clearly the more proficient and skilled martial artist, but just overwhelmed by Vader's pressure, never fully recovering from the early domination and doing well to survive as long as he did. It's a really great match. Strong and well-paced action that told a fundamentally simple story, albeit one with plenty of extra wrinkles, plus a presentation and atmosphere and crowd that really elevated it. After this match, Takada would put together some more wins, defeating Victor Zangief and Naoki Sano, but would lose to Gary Albright in a number one contenders match on the last show of 1994. Meanwhile, Vader would team with John Tenta in a pair of tag team matches against Albright and Kazuo Yamazaki, before successfully defending his title against Albright in the first event of 95. After defeating Yamazaki in February, Takada would earn a third singles match with Vader, the undisputed pro wrestling world heavyweight title once again on the line. The final match between the two begins with some more pre-match ceremony, and it's no less effective this time around. The customary pre-match stare-down between Takada and Vader is broken up immediately. Teddy is joined by Danny Hodge and Billy Robinson before the national anthems, but this time there's no handshake between Vader and Takada, Vader opting instead to knock his challenger to the ground with a slap. When he recovers, he takes the fight straight to Vader and the match is on, Takada's onslaught of kicks knocking Vader over the top rope and to the floor. Takada pursues him outside the ring, before soaking up the adulation of the fans as they chant his name. He beckons Vader back into the ring, and it's a real treat to see Takada's usual stoicism replaced by anger and bile. When Vader gets back into the ring, both look incredibly hateful, circling and daring each other to strike first. Vader corners Takada, and we get an awesome looking shoot choke slam that gets a 7 count. More of Vader's ugly looping blows get an 8, and Takada's performance so far seems reminiscent of the second match between the two, a rough start that he was never quite able to recover from. On the ground, Vader is firmly in control, connecting with shots whenever he gets an opening. An illegal grounded knee forces the referee to step in, the crowd booing the champion's lack of sportsmanship. Takada goes down after some more powerful shots, and after 5 minutes we've seen very little from the challenger. That all changes when he gets to his feet, attacking Vader's left leg with kicks and knees before a head kick drops the champion. Vader picks a fight with the referee as he rises at a 7 count, and Takada goes right back to his left leg. Vader reacts to these kicks like they're gunshots, looking legitimately close to tears at times. It's masterful, believable selling that puts Takada over massively. The two circle once more, Vader cornering the challenger yet again. He angrily mauls him with a tantrum of ugly shot as the referee attempts to separate the two while the crowd boos. Takada gets to his feet and it's back to the leg kicks, dropping Vader to a knee and allowing him to take his back and begin working for the armbar. Vader's S-grip prevents the hold from being completed, and the rope break prevents Vader from punishing Takada when he ends up on top. Vader screams in pain as more leg kicks connect, having seemingly no answer for them, and when they re-engage he works to get Takada to the mat. Takada manages to take his back once more, applying a nasty chin lock before locking in the armbar, though it's broken immediately as Vader gets his feet to the ropes. Takada shifts his focus to Vader's midsection and face with some more strikes, though a single shot from Vader sends him flying halfway across the ring, dropping him with another immediately after. He's up at 8, Vader is ready, grabbing his wrists and connecting with a thudding lariat that clearly rings Takada's bell, but only results in an 8 count. He catches him with more rough shots and attempts the powerbomb, but Takada blocks it the first time and rolls out of it the second, remaining on the floor in an attempt to recover. He staggers to his feet at 9, clearly still loopy, and unable to avoid the lariat that immediately drops him again. Vader lands some illegal shots for good measure which the crowd boos, though Takada is up at 7. The champion is on him straight away, hoisting him up and slamming him down with a sickening powerbomb. It seems we're about to see a repeat of the previous match, Takada rising over and over again, but without the gas in the tank to counter or the wherewithal to avoid Vader's assault. He somehow rises once more, but is immediately run over by Vader, who takes side control before allowing him to rise. Vader brings him down with a Fujiwara armbar, switching to a Dragon Sleeper, though Takada will not quit. Vader drags him to his feet and lands another blow, but Takada comes back storming, landing a nasty kick to the chin and more shots to the head and body before going down once more. Vader forces him to the corner yet again, but Takada's not finished. He connects with knees and kicks over and over, dropping Vader with a head kick and nearly collapsing in the process as the crowd roars. They count with the referee as Vader tries to get to his feet, using the ropes to aid him as best he can, but it's not enough. The referee counts 10, Vader's still off his feet, and Takada wins the rubber match to reclaim the title. He collapses in the middle of the ring, and after some time is helped to his feet and congratulated by Thez. Vader is furious on the outside, attempting to put his head through a steel chair and generally being a fantastic sore loser. The second match seems to be the most widely acclaimed of the trilogy, but for me, this clearly exceeds it. Both Vader and Takada get to show off a lot more personality in this match compared to the previous, which is most welcome. I generally don't mind the stoic ace archetype embodied by wrestlers like Takada and Misawa, even though I know many people struggle to get invested in it. Here Takada puts on an uncharacteristically hot-blooded and emotive performance, and it's just absolutely fantastic. Vader's slap is the catalyst for this, bringing out an anger and a fire that we rarely see from Takada, as he goes to town on him with kicks, taunting and goading him to get back into the ring after kicking him out of it. Vader is a phenomenal seller, and I think he's absolutely world class in this match. He gives so much to Takada with his grimaces and shouts of pain, looking like he's about to cry at points. Even though Takada is not far off Vader's height, to have a monster powerhouse be so willing to look weak and vulnerable to help a smaller opponent, especially at this time when wrestlers of Vader's stature and were so protective of their size, it adds so much to these matches and to Takada's credibility. I've spoken about how I enjoy Vader bringing pro wrestling stylings to these shoot style matches already, and this one is no different. The introduction of the shoot chokeslam is just fantastic. If anyone else had stepped into this world and tried to bring a move as cartoony as a chokeslam into it, I don't think it would work nearly as well. But Vader is Vader, and the other hand behind Takada's head means you absolutely believe a man with Vader's strength will be able to throw a man to the mat like that in a real fight. Much like Vader selling Takada's kicks, Takada sells the impact of being powered to the mat by Vader really well throughout the match. Sometimes he sells as if all the wind's been knocked out of him, leaving him unable to move, and sometimes he sells as though the impact has concussed him, staggering back to his feet but looking incredibly wobbly in the process. They both work to put the other's offensive style over as credible. That's what makes this match work in the first place, as it could be seen as an unbelievable contest in either direction otherwise. Takada arguably not being a worthy opponent in a pro wrestling context, and Vader not being a worthy opponent in a mixed martial arts context. Each man putting his opponent's style and offense over so convincingly is what makes a fight like this work so well, and why I hold this match in particular, but also the entire series as a whole, up as a great example of how well styles clash matches can work. I think the only negative about this match, and it's not really a negative to be honest, is the finish. When you see how well the pair managed to put together the finishes in the first two matches, the finish to the third seems quite anticlimactic. There's nothing implicitly wrong with an out of nowhere flurry of strikes allowing Takada to earn a knockout victory. I think when wrestling a bigger opponent, firing off a bunch of strikes to suddenly get the knockout is a fine way for Takada to earn the victory. But when Vader had spent so much time just dominating Takada towards the end of the match, fact that it just happens and the match is over, it feels like something was missed. If we saw a bit of a longer comeback, or ideally Vader making a clear mistake that Takada was able to capitalise on, I think it would have worked much better. Otherwise it's just Vader, 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 flurry from Takada, match over. The out of nowhere finish is fine, but they had an opportunity to tell a more interesting story and have a more satisfying conclusion. Vader repeating his behaviour from the end of the second match as he mauls Takada over and over, as Takada keeps getting up, but ultimately overextending himself and being too aggressive, leading to an unforced error that Takada capitalises on to win. The finish they went with is fine and it works. It's just a shame as I felt they had the opportunity to do something more interesting and special. That tiny nitpick aside, I think it's an absolutely stellar match. I think it's the best example in the trilogy of great contrast. The shooter being the shooter against the pro wrestler being the pro wrestler, with that same contrast in the construct of the match itself. The shoot style aesthetic, combined with the storytelling advantages that pro wrestling allows, all at the highest levels. As I said at the beginning of this video, and I just touched on when talking about the last match in the trilogy, the Styles Clash matchups are always an interesting proposition, but they're not always successful. Sometimes people just don't gel, it is what it is. But when they do, when their styles and presentations do work together and compound, you can be left with something truly great and truly unique. That's what I believe the Vader vs Takada series is above all else. Looking at Vader, on the surface he's simply an all-time aggressor, bullying opponents with powerful rugged blows and slams, and just being a fearsome opponent for anyone to face. What I think these matches show, more so than any other Vader matches I've seen, is how great he works as the victim, as the wrestler on the other side of the beatdown. He sells unbelievably well, being totally willing to look angry or pained or weak in service of the match, to the benefit of both his opponent and also himself. Obviously Takada benefits. Vader being driven to tears by the power of Takada's kicks is a huge stamp of legitimacy for his striking. But for Vader, being able to show weakness, but more importantly pain and frustration, it adds a dimension to the monster heel that is often missed, and makes everything he does much more layered and interesting. Whether these are the best matches of his career I'm not sure, but they're certainly very different, and certainly very interesting. For Takada though, out of everything I've seen of him, I think this is absolutely his best work. As I said earlier, out of his cohort I think he's the least impressive and least skilled wrestler to watch. His striking is strong, but his mat-based work leaves a lot to be desired, especially when compared to Maeda or Fujiwara or Funaki. When the likes of Tamura and Volkan and Osaka came along, they left Takada in the dust in the technical department. His greatest strength in my view was leaning into the melodrama of pro wrestling, rather than trying to have the most convincing shoot fight possible, and he excels at that in these matches. Having Vader as your dance partner obviously helps, giving you a blueprint to follow, but it takes two to tango, and Takada's work as the heroic ace figure, continually standing up to and trying to withstand the force of the Gaijin, putting his all into his kicks while selling the exhaustion and suffering that comes from wrestling Vader, it's always going to be compelling viewing. Everything is compounded by the spectacle and pageantry of it all. I've said it over and over in this video, but it really can't be overstated how much it adds to each match, to have them treated with so much reverence and seriousness beforehand. When the people inside the barricades take a match seriously, you do too. And when everyone treats these matches like they're the biggest matches possible, you do too. The physicality of these matches, the endurance and the intensity of them on their own, particularly in the second and third matches, are noteworthy. But when combined with this pageantry, they become so much more meaningful and have so much more weight than they would otherwise. It's a great lesson in how what a promotion does before a match to build its credibility can act as a massively impactful multiplier for what actually occurs bell to bell, something a lot of current day wrestling promotions I believe could and should take advantage of. When I decided to cover this series in a video, I don't think I was entirely sure why. The idea of the two having only 3 singles matches in 3 consecutive years was interesting to me, being able to see how the bouts change and evolve each year, and how they learn to wrestle each other. I think the other key aspect, as I mentioned over and over again, is that the Styles Clash element is always interesting to write about. I think probably more so than when 2 similar wrestlers clash. But looking back on them now, I think what makes these matches so significant and so worth exploring is how they lean into that Styles Clash, without dulling either side. Going into each match, you really don't know whether it will be Takada's precision striking or Vader's overwhelming force that will win out. Across the trilogy, neither man abandons who and what they are, but both men bend towards the middle, exactly the right amount to make these matches work. Vader leans into the realism, while bringing with him some of the hallmarks of American pro wrestling, while Takada leans into the theatricality of pro wrestling, without losing his shoot style edge. I think that balance is why 30 years later, these matches are still among the best of the different style fight subgenre. More than just monster vs man, gaijin vs ace, it's a rare clash of styles that allow both sides to meet in the middle without diluting either. And when you throw in all the pageantry that makes the violence feel more real and raises the stakes, you're left with one of the most enduring and unique trilogies of shoot-style wrestling ever produced. Of the matches that I spoke about in this video, my top recommendation would be the final match between the two. It's just as physical as the other encounters. The fact that it's much more intense and emotive puts it over the second match for me, even though the finish of the second I think clears the thirds. But check all three out if you can. It's Takada and Vader at the end of the day, so the floor is very high. Thank you so much for watching this episode of WrestleLore. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Please let me know your thoughts on these matches down below. I'm always interested to hear what you guys have to say. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about one of my absolute favourite independent wrestling title reigns, as Roderick Strong wages war against the best the indies have to offer, as the hated champion of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you later. Cheers.